Okay, I'd like to call the North Ridgeville Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call roll?
Members of the board, Kane is absent. Smolik,
Here.
Masterson,
Here.
Thibodeau.
Here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Winkle,
Here.
Kimball.
Here. Our
Members
first,
of the administration, Chief Building Official Fursden,
Here,
Assistant Law Director Morgan.
Here.
Okay, you have one absent, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Our first order of business this evening is the yearly election of officers. Do we have a nomination for chairman?
I nominate Sean Kimball.
Are there any other nominations for chairman? If none, I will remain as chair. The next position is vice chairman, and I would like to nominate Linda Masterson. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, Linda will remain as vice. And for the position of secretary, do we have a nomination?
I nominate Lisa.
If there's no other nominations, Lisa will remain as our secretary. Moving on to our minutes, do we have any corrections to the minutes dated Thursday, November 19th, 2020?
No.
If there's no correction to the minutes will stand as wrote. And are there any reports from Planning Commission this evening?
There's no reports.
Thank you. Are there any other reports or correspondence in front of the board? Hearing none, we will move on to the public hearings. Will the clerk please read the first application?
Applicant Brian and Renee Geis, 8656 Hazelwood Run, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner is same. Requesting a variance to North Ridgeville Codified Ordinance, Section 1294.01H1A and Section 1294.01H3 for a 6-foot high and 100% closed fence, requiring a 2.5-foot height variance and 100% closed variance. Location 8656 Hazelwood Run in an R1 Residence District. Permanent parcel number 0700002102260. Building inspector's comments. Section 1294.01H1A, fences from front line of building to the right-of-way in residential districts shall be 3.5-foot high and 50% open. Applicant requesting 6-foot high fence, 100% closed, requiring a 2.5-foot height variance and 100% closed variance. BZA approval required, and it's noted corner lots have 2 front line of building.
Thank you. Is there a representative here this evening with us?
Hi, I'm Brian Gisa, the homeowner.
Hi, Brian. I need to swear you in for the record real quick. Do you swear affirm the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes, I swear.
Thank you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your application?
We're on a corner lot of a cul-de-sac. So, and we're putting a pool in this coming summer. And so for privacy and security, we have an existing fence on that side now that is 50% open and only 3.5 feet high, whatever the code is. But once we put the pool in, we want to take that smaller fence down and replace it with a 6-foot solid privacy fence. So that's what we need the variance for. And I don't know if maybe it's not clear in how I wrote it up. But we also want to come in 10 feet from the side, just to give us a little more fenced in yard in the back. It doesn't present any line of sight issues to traffic on the street because we still have a very large side yard.
Sure. Thank you for pointing that out about the line of sight possible obstruction. That's the reason of having the ordinance for it, because you essentially on a corner lot have 2 front yards.
Right.
But the way your house is situated in relation to the corner of the intersection, it seems that fence is quite a ways off from any sort of visual obstruction. And I even want to comment how I like how you came out only 10 feet and then ran it back at an angle, because I was considering your neighbor behind you as they were backing out of their driveway. If you ran it straight out, there might be a possible obstruction there if a kid was riding a bike down the sidewalk or such like that. But your plan seems to eliminate any of those possibilities. So it seems to be pretty well thought out, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from any board members?
Sir, I was out at the site, and the homeowner did a very good job, because I parked in the cul-de-sac, and it is very well thought out. And I agree completely. By like squaring it up, it is going to not impede the line of sight from that house, because it's just an odd way that house is situated. So that is a very good accommodation of what he needs, because he also has with having the 2 front yards, he's going to, it's a good compromise on giving the privacy and the safety that he's going to need with a pool, because it'll be a very attractive nuisance unless he has that fence.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from any board members? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on behalf of this matter? And do we have any questions on YouTube Live or Zoom?
There is nothing at this time.
We will give it a few seconds and then I will call for a roll, or a nomination rather. If there's no other questions or comments at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Smolik,
Yes.
Masterson,
Yes.
Thibodeau? Thibodeau?
Yeah.
Oh, are you there? I think you're muted. Neil, you there?
Yes.
Okay. And Kimball?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries with a vote of 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Sir, you are all set. We will mail you your signed application for approval, and you should have that here shortly. Thank you.
Have a good day, sir.
And now moving on to our next application, will the clerk please read the application for us?
Applicant K. Hovanian, Meadow Lakes LLC, 3296 Columbia Road, Richfield, Ohio, 44286. Owner, same. Requesting a variance to North Ridgeville Codified Ordinance, Section 1279.23A, for an average front setback of 30 feet for single-family dwellings. Location is Meadow Lakes subdivision in a PCD. Permanent parcel number is not applicable. Building inspector's comments. Section 1279.23A, single-family dwellings in a PCD shall have an average front setback of 35 foot. Applicant requesting average front setback of 30 foot. BZA approval required.
Do we have a representative here with us this evening?
Yes, Jeff Schaefer, K. Hovnanian, as
Thank
well
you.
as Dale Haywood from Atwell Engineering.
Okay. I need to swear you both in for the record. Do you swear from the statements you're about to make for this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of law of perjury?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Could you gentlemen please tell us a little bit about your application?
Certainly. This was brought to our attention by Guy Furston when we presented the Phase 18 plat for a final plat approval. Guy noted that the PCD requirements had actually not been met for phases very early on in the project. We're talking about the portions of Meadow Lakes that are north of Barris Road. And I do want to say, and maybe I should have led with this, that this application being presented this or requested this evening is not for new or future construction. This is for lots that are already in existence. So the phases that were built very early on north of Barris Road. And in fact, phases that predate my client's involvement with the project. That is K. Hovnanian, the applicant. But to clarify what Guy noticed, and it was under Guy's direction that we made the application to BZA for this variance, was that the homes were built with a 30-foot setback, not 35. And what we're here to do is sort of clean this up before the very last phase, that being phase 19, which is soon to be presented to the city for approval. So we would like to get this taken care of, request the very last plat to be approved, and then the PCD requirements with the variance will have been met. I don't a good enough job explaining that. It seems like a little bit of a convoluted situation ourselves in.
No, you did a great job. I appreciate that. I do have a question. So part of your approval that you're looking for is for homes that are already built and existing. Is that correct?
Years and years ago. Absolutely. Yes.
And then for your future phase 19, you're essentially just looking to match what's already there.
Well, and then phase 19 will basically close the book on the approved PCD called Meadow Lakes. And before that can happen, Guy felt that we should get the variance because the PCD requirement of 35-foot front setback had not been met. They're actually at a 30-foot setback.
Okay.
Homes that were not built by K. Hovnanian Homes either, just very early on in the project.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is Jeff. I believe the 35-foot applied to the single family portion of the code, whereas the variance we're requesting applies to the cluster. Is that correct?
What
Right.
the PCD requirement is 35 feet for single family lots. Those are the wider of the two lots that are in the development. And they weren't built at 35. They were actually built at 30 feet. So that hence the request for the variance and after the fact variance.
I see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
do you need any clarification?
Does that all sound accurate from your interpretation, Guy?
As far as they went, yes. If you want me to elaborate so that you're clear on what's happening here,
Sure, if you could, because I'm still a little bit confused.
the PCD allows for single family lots, which are like 70 feet wide, and cluster lots, which are really kind of undefined in the ordinance. And it doesn't require any percentage of either. Technically in the PCD, you could have done 100% cluster lots.
Okay.
The single family lots required an average front setback of 35 feet in the ordinance. Why they chose that, I have no idea. It was just aesthetics. But in Meadow Lakes, there wasn't a single family lot created south of Barris Road. So all of these single family lots occurred in north of Barris Road in phase 1 and 2. When K. Hovnanian bought this project, they were well south of Barris Road. I think they're in phase 11 or 12 or something. And we recognized that we would need this variance because they weren't going to build any more single family lots in their plans with the balance of Meadow Lakes. And in fairness to the subdivision and the previous owner, yes, the single family lots were built with a 30-foot front setback, but they also built all the cluster family lots at a 30-foot setback, and only 20 foot was required. So they kind of felt, and we were hoping everybody would agree, that one would wash the other.
That's where the average comes into play, then I take it.
Yeah, and the number of single family lots in the whole subdivision is a very small percentage. In fact, it's less than 10%.
Okay,
Thanks for the clarification.
I
You're
very
welcome.
much appreciate that. Are there any questions or comments from any board members?
So
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions.
Okay. Linda, we'll get to you in just one second. I think you were maybe speaking up too. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Linda could go first. That's fine.
No, James, by all means, go first, sir.
I guess this is just for record keeping for the old stuff, not for anything new, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I guess, I mean, I know in planning commission, I brought up a bunch of times, and I still think the whole point of this district was to have varying size lots. And you said it yourself, the single family lots were only on the north side. On the south side, we never had any varying lots. I mean, it just still bothers me today. So I just want to make sure that this variance is for older stuff and not new. So that way maybe the developer will have a change of heart and actually put in some larger lots instead of all the same. Everything south of Bears is the same, except for a couple lifestyle packages, but it's pretty much the same. And I don't think that was ever the intent of this district.
The only
There's-
thing I can say to that is if there was a different intent in mind, then they would have limited the number of clusters like they do in the 1282. And that was never considered. In fact, when I proposed trying to change the ordinance, when people complained about that years ago, council didn't even look at the changes. They just withdrew the PCD from our ordinances. Meadow Lakes is grandfathered in until it's completed.
Linda, you had a question or a comment?
I was just verifying in my mind this is just a housekeeping.
Kind
Just,
of.
it's housekeeping, and just to go on the same token, I understand that this is a very flexible model for them, but I just want to make sure that it is just a housekeeping measure. I do understand that how they sell is based on what the market bears. So I'm very grateful for the clarification. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from any board members? Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on behalf of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, I would. Guy and Mr. Smolik, you guys know, being on planning commission before I was put on council, this was also something, like Jim was saying, that it's very concerning with these builders coming in. I understand Kay Hovanian came into what they were given with what was there before. And if it is just a housekeeping measure for what was done before, I can accept that, but I'm struggling with these closing phases. Guy, if you can just, knowing our conversations that we've had on planning and through council with the whole land density issue and everything else with these builders coming in with the lot sizes, I hear from residents all the time about how they're shrinking and that this is becoming an issue. If you can say that what is presented in front of the board today, is quality and more of, like you're saying, this housekeeping measures with what was done before, and nothing in future phases, then I will have faith in hoping that the board does go through with this. But I just know that in the future phases coming up, I hope our land sizes and we do have different lot sizes, like Mr. Smolnik said, and I just struggle with this whole process with Meadow Lakes. And I do live south of Barris Road, and they're not all the same. I know I was one of the first houses up here on West Breezeway, and they have a little bit bigger property than my neighbor. And I know that some of the struggles with the land density and things like that, it has been an ongoing issue with the builders. But if it is just kind of correcting some of the past problems, then I would be, hopefully you guys go ahead and pass it. But if it's something for the future, I would think as a councilman representing some of the people that I would hope that you would vote against it, because this is an issue with these builders coming in with the lot sizes. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from any audience members? Do we have any questions or comments from YouTube Live or Zoom?
There's nothing at this time.
If there's no other questions or comments from any board members, this time the chair will entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve with a condition that this is for past phases only.
Clarification from the law department, can we add a condition? Because I don't believe this is a conditional use request.
It's not something we customarily do. It's not unheard of, but it is just something that we have just stayed away from. In this instance, it's going to be, it's not going to make a difference because this is the only reason this particular variance is needed is for past phases anyhow. So it's sort of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So I think in this instance, I don't see any harm in it because it is already for, by definition, phases. I think it was indicated probably 1 and 2 that are been done for a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem with adding the condition. I just wanted to make sure legally we were not overstepping our boundaries, so.
Not at all.
Chairman, that condition shouldn't be a problem for the remainder of the subdivision.
I'm sorry, Mr. Furzy, what was that?
I said that condition shouldn't be a problem for the remainder of the subdivision.
Very well then. Do we have a second?
I second.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Smolik,
Yes.
Masterson,
Yes.
Thibodeau? Thibodeau?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. And Kimball?
Yes.
Okay, motion with a condition for past phases only carries with a vote of 5-0.
Thank you guys for showing up this evening. We will mail you guys out a signed copy in the next few days. And you were all set
Thank you,
to go.
everyone.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to be brought in front of the board this evening? Hearing none, at this time, the chair makes a motion to adjourn. All those signify by aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Have a
Good
good
night,
evening.
everybody.
Bye.
Sorry for being late.
You're good.
Oh, you weren't that late. Hi, Sherry. Nice to meet you. Oh, there's James. Hi, James.
Sorry for being late.
No problem.
Oh, you are bringing cookies next time.
I can bring whatever you want next time. Say where to deliver.
Oh, well, don't ever tell us that. Don't ever tell us that.
Have a good
All
night.
right. You guys